Hey guys, it's Dragon Soul. Today I have a video that I've been wanting to make for a very long time now, probably for the past 4 or 5 months, and I haven't had time to, but I have time today, so I'm going to start. Um, I'm going to put a favorite to least favorite of my favorite Daniel Arenson novels. Daniel Arenson, I got into his books I'm gonna tell you which one I started out with, but um, over time, as I got into more and more of his books, he just became my favorite author. He's just a master storyteller, and just he's just a great author with lots of his characters and the setting of the worlds he creates and stuff. But yeah, so I've been a fan of his for a few years now. So without further ado, here's my favorite to least favorites of my Daniel Arenson novels. So for my top favorite, this is Utopia 58. This is a novel that came out November or August of last year, and I had a chance to read it. If you haven't looked at my review for this, check out my review for Utopia 58 on my channel. This is one of the best books, that I've ever read. It's such a great novel about equality, and it's just a very emotional and powerful story that I think if anyone's into that sort of stuff, they'll really appreciate the overall message and emotion that all the characters go through in this novel. So it's a really great read if you have the chance to look at it. So that's my favorite. Second favorite is my Dragon Lore trilogy. This is my favorite trilogy of all the Requiem Dragon books. And the reason that is, I'm just going to do some spoilers here if you have read the books. But the reason for this is just with the villain, mostly. Because the villain has a major history with the main lead, Elithor. And they have a complicated relationship. And due to their struggles they go through, a bunch of losses and emotional struggles. It's just a great trilogy about loss and honor and going through struggles and just making good decisions, and all the characters in this trilogy are really great. And this is probably the trilogy I enjoyed the most, the Dragon Lore trilogy. So this one's my favorite, and this one's my second favorite. This is the Dragon trilogy, that got me into Daniel Arenson, Requiem for Dragons. This one's my second favorite of his trilogies. Again, this is a great trilogy because this takes way in the future after all of the other novels and trilogies that he's done. So this is like Requiem's in Ruins, and there's this organization that well, it's not like an organization, but it's like a cult, I guess. I haven't read it in a while, but they take over Requiem, and there's a bunch of survivors that are out in the woods, and they band together to try to take Requiem back. So it's a really good story, and again, the characters are great in this one. Yeah, so this is another great one. And then I'm just gonna do for these three. These three I read probably near the end, probably close to the end of last year, probably sometime in I want to say probably November. I want to say before I read Utopia 58. That was also, I read that in November. So I probably read the third one probably a day or two. I finished the third one about a day or two after Halloween, probably. But this was the newest in his Requiem trilogy. And this one was really good too. I had high hopes for this trilogy, and it really delivered. It's kind of similar to one of my other trilogies, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But lots of great characters, and I mean, mostly with each and every book of the trilogies that he does here, he always enters new creatures and new backgrounds, and there's always something new every time you get into another Requiem Dragon novel. So, yeah, but for these three, there were tons of new material that Daniel had to go through, and just his imagination with this trilogy really caught me off guard. So this was a really another good trilogy. So this one was also really good. But for out of the three, it was hard to say because each of the three here in this trilogy were really good. So they were probably all equal in comparison to how awesome they were. And then this one was I believe the second one I read after Requiem for Dragons. This one was Song of Dragons, and this was actually the second Requiem Dragon book trilogy that Daniel wrote. I still have to read the Dawn of Dragon trilogy. I still haven't had time to get through that because I'm in the middle of reading Dune right now because the movie adaptation is coming in December. So I'm in the middle of reading that. But for this one's almost similar to Dragon Lore because there's always, I mean, it's similar to like Dragon Fire Rain trilogy too. But there's in like those three trilogies, it always mostly resolves around like a very powerful villain, and in each of the three books in the trilogy, they send a massive army of griffins, valkyries, the undead, or anything, and there's always a character who either dies or has a very deep struggle with something. So this one was kind of similar, like I said, to Dragon Lore. But this one was a great read. It was pretty enjoyable. But as far as character development goes, I mean, in my opinion, it didn't have as much emotional weight as Dragon Lore did. But I mean, the action was still good in this, and like what the characters' roles were, but it just didn't have that much character development in here for me, and just had a lot of repeated material. Like it would say a few things like that would come up often in every few chapters, so that kind of got a little annoying at times. But for this one, it was really good. So I mean, it was pretty good. It was probably I would probably give it maybe a 4 out of 5. And then I don't want any haters on this, please. But the Dragon War, I read this one after this one, Song of Dragons. I don't know. It's just the Dragon War. It just didn't have taste. It wasn't my cup of tea. But I mean, the overall plot was alright, but it just felt too different to me. It wasn't my favorite of the trilogies here. I mean, don't get me wrong. All the characters in the Dragon War are really good, but it's just the overall story and the things that the characters do and what they go through and stuff. It just didn't feel as emotional and epic as the other books. So yeah, that one's my least favorite. But if I had to rate them, which I didn't do on my Wimpy Kid books because I wasn't thinking of that then. So for Utopia 58, 10 out of 10. Dragon Lore Trilogy, 10 out of 10. Requiem for Dragons, 9 out of 10. And then these three, 8.5 out of 10. And then Song of Dragons Trilogy, probably 8 out of 10. And then Dragon War, probably 6.5 out of 10. Okay, so these are my Daniel Arenson novels. Um, if you have read these, put in the comments below what your favorite Daniel Arenson novel was out of these, any of these, if you have read them. And I'd like to see what your favorite book out of his bookography is. Didn't mean to say bookography, but like out of his books that he's written. So put those out in the comments. I'd like to see if you have same thoughts as I do about his books. I'm going to be seeing Onward on Friday, and I'll do a non-spoiler review for that on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. And more fantasy and dragon music videos are on the way. And be sure to subscribe for more reactions, reviews, and other new surprises. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.